They say love surprises you when you least expect it, but no one told me it could leave you completely speechless. I've met many people in my life. I've heard laughter that faded, seen beauty that passed, and felt moments that came and went like the wind. But then, she walked into my world, calm, confident, effortless, and somehow in a single heartbeat, everything felt different. She's not just beautiful. She's not just kind. She's not just intelligent. She's my dream woman. And when I learned her age, I won't lie, it stopped me in my tracks. Not because it changed how I felt, but because it made me realize something deeper. Love doesn't follow numbers. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't care about expectations. It simply chooses. Tonight, I want to tell you why she changed my life and why her age was the last thing that truly mattered. Stay with me, because this isn't just a love story. It's a truth I can't hide anymore. I didn't expect to meet her that day. It wasn't some grand moment. No dramatic music. No perfect lighting. Just an ordinary day carrying its usual weight. I was walking through life the way I always do. Quiet, observant, careful with my heart. I've learned over time that not every smile means something. Not every connection lasts. So I keep my emotions steady, my expectations low. And then she was there. Not loud, not trying to be noticed. She didn't demand attention. She didn't chase it. She simply existed in her own space, comfortable in her own presence. There was something about the way she carried herself. Calm, but strong. Soft, but unbreakable. The kind of woman who doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. Our eyes met for a second longer than strangers usually allow. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't overwhelming. It was quiet recognition. Like two souls pausing to acknowledge something they don't fully understand yet. I've met beautiful women before. I've known charm. I've known attraction. But this felt different. It wasn't just about how she looked. It was the energy around her. The stillness. The depth. The way she listened when someone spoke, as if their words actually mattered. That kind of presence is rare. When she smiled, it wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't the kind of smile people use to impress. It was real. Slightly imperfect. Honest. And I felt something shift inside me. Not fireworks. Not chaos. Just a steady warmth spreading through a place in my heart I didn't even realize had gone cold. We started talking. Simple things at first. Small conversations. But even in those simple exchanges, I could feel layers beneath her words. Intelligence without arrogance. Humor without cruelty. Confidence without ego. She wasn't trying to be extraordinary, and somehow that made her extraordinary. I found myself paying attention to details I usually ignore. The way she tilted her head when she was thinking. The way her voice softened when she spoke about things she loved. The way her eyes seemed to hold stories she hadn't told yet. There was history there, strength there, experience there, and I realized something quietly, almost cautiously. I wanted to know her, not just the surface, not just the easy parts. I wanted to understand the storms she survived, the dreams she still carried, the fears she rarely shared. There was no rush, no pressure, just two people talking. But inside me, something was changing. I wasn't trying to impress her. I wasn't performing. I was simply present, and that's when I knew this was different. When you don't feel the need to pretend, when silence feels comfortable instead of awkward, when being yourself feels enough. Time moved strangely around her. Minutes felt longer, but not heavy. Just meaningful. Every sentence felt intentional. Every glance felt like it carried weight. I'm not a man who falls easily. I've built walls. I've protected my heart. I've told myself that love is complicated, that it demands too much. But standing there with her, I didn't feel complicated. I felt calm. There's something powerful about a woman who knows who she is, who doesn't chase validation, who doesn't shrink to make others comfortable. She stood in her truth without announcing it, and that strength drew me in more than anything else ever could. I remember thinking, almost against my own logic, that she felt familiar, like a memory I hadn't lived yet, like a chapter waiting to be written. And that thought scared me, because familiarity can be dangerous. It can make you lower your guard. It can make you hope. Hope is a risky thing. But she didn't rush me. She didn't demand anything. She simply existed in that moment with me, and somehow that was enough to make my guarded heart take one small step forward. I noticed how she respected herself, how she didn't laugh at jokes that crossed her boundaries, how she spoke about her life with ownership, no victim mindset, no bitterness, just lessons learned and growth earned. That kind of maturity doesn't come from nowhere. It's built through experience, through pain, through time. And I admired that. As the conversation deepened, I felt myself opening up in ways I hadn't planned to, sharing thoughts I usually keep locked away. And she listened, not to respond but to understand. That's rare. That's powerful. In that quiet exchange, I realized something I hadn't admitted to myself in years. I wanted something real, not temporary excitement, not surface level attraction, something steady, something grounded, something that lasts beyond first impressions. And she felt like that kind of woman. There was no dramatic declaration in that moment, no sudden confession, just a silent understanding forming in my chest, a whisper of a thought growing louder with every second I spent near her. She wasn't just another beautiful face in the crowd. She was different. And for the first time in a long time, I felt ready to find out what that difference truly meant. I won't pretend I wasn't surprised when I found out her age. It happened in the most ordinary way. No dramatic reveal. No suspense. Just a simple detail woven into a conversation. A number. That's all it was. A number that for a brief second made me pause. Not because it changed how I saw her, but because it challenged how I thought. We live in a world obsessed with timelines, with expectations, with invisible rules about what makes sense and what doesn't. Who should love who fits together, what's acceptable, what's not. Age becomes a label, a category, a quiet judgment waiting in the background. And when I learned how old she was, I felt that conditioning try to whisper in my ear. Is this right? Will people understand? Does this make sense? For a split second, I stood there caught between society's voice and my own heart. Because the truth is, before I knew her age, I already admired her. I already respected her. I already felt drawn to her mind, her presence, her strength. Nothing about her maturity felt misplaced. Nothing about her wisdom felt artificial. She carried herself with depth, with awareness, with a kind of emotional intelligence that many people spend a lifetime trying to develop. It made me realize how much we allow society to measure love with rulers that were never meant for it. Age can tell you how long someone has been alive. It cannot tell you how deeply they've lived. It cannot measure their resilience. It cannot calculate their emotional strength. It cannot define their capacity to love. And she had depth, the kind that doesn't come from birthdays alone. I started thinking about all the things that truly matter. Character, values, integrity, the way someone treats strangers, the way they speak when they're frustrated, the way they handle disappointment, the way they protect their peace. She exceeded every one of those measures. Her age didn't make her less. It didn't make her more. It simply made her, her. And yet, I won't lie, it left me speechless at first, because it forced me to confront my own assumptions, the quiet biases I didn't even realize I carried. It made me ask myself an honest question. Do I care about what people will say, or do I care about what I feel? That question isn't easy. I've spent enough years in this world to know that opinions are loud. Judgment is constant. People will analyze what they don't understand. They'll turn love into a debate. They'll reduce something sacred to gossip. But when I looked at her, really looked at her, I didn't see a number. I saw a woman who had lived, a woman who had grown, a woman who understood herself, and I realized something powerful. Love doesn't check IDs. It doesn't scroll through timelines. It doesn't compare birth certificates. It connects. It recognizes. It chooses. Her age didn't define her maturity. Her age didn't define her beauty. Her age didn't define her worth. What defined her was her spirit, the calm in her voice, the confidence in her silence, the wisdom in her perspective. If anything, knowing her age made me respect her even more, because it explained the strength behind her softness, the clarity behind her decisions, the steadiness behind her love. And in that moment, the shock faded. What replaced it was admiration, because it takes courage to be fully yourself in a world that constantly measures you. It takes strength to stand beside someone when you know people might question it. It takes confidence to ignore noise and focus on truth. And the truth was simple. She made me feel alive. She made me feel understood. She made me feel at peace. No number could compete with that. Yes, her age left me speechless. But not because it scared me, because it reminded me that love doesn't always follow the script we were handed. And sometimes the most unexpected detail becomes the very thing that teaches you what truly matters. I've learned something about love that most people don't talk about. It isn't loud. It isn't always dramatic. It doesn't arrive with fireworks and perfect timing. Sometimes it shows up quietly, and then it asks you a question you weren't ready to answer. Loving her forced me to confront more than just my feelings. It forced me to confront the world, the expectations, the opinions, the invisible rules people pretend are universal truths. There's this unspoken belief that love should look a certain way, that it should fit neatly into categories, that it should follow a timeline that makes everyone comfortable. But our love has never been comfortable for the outside world. It challenges, it disrupts, it refuses to be simplified. When people find out about us, I know some of them will raise their eyebrows. Some will whisper. Some will calculate the years between us as if love were a math problem to solve. But here's what I've realized. Time is not the enemy of love. Judgment is. Time doesn't mock you. Time doesn't gossip. Time doesn't compare. People do. And if you let the fear of judgment guide your heart, you will spend your entire life choosing what looks acceptable instead of what feels true. She taught me that, not by preaching, not by convincing, but by simply being herself. Unapologetic, grounded, secure. She doesn't bend to make others comfortable. She doesn't shrink to fit into expectations. She lives in alignment with who she is. That kind of self-awareness is rare. That kind of courage is contagious. Being with her made me question why we let society decide what's appropriate in matters that are deeply personal. Why do we let strangers define our happiness? Why do we allow noise to overpower connection? Love is not a performance for the public. It's a private agreement between two souls. And what we have isn't built on rebellion. It's not about proving a point. It's not about shocking anyone. It's built on understanding. On late-night conversations that stretch into silence without feeling empty. On shared glances that say more than paragraphs ever could. On respect that runs deeper than attraction. People talk about age as if it automatically determines compatibility. But compatibility is about rhythm. It's about emotional alignment. It's about values. It's about how two people handle pressure, pain, success, and vulnerability. We align. Not because of a number, but because of who we are. Society loves labels. Older, younger, appropriate, inappropriate. But labels are shortcuts for people who don't want to understand complexity. Love is complex. It's layered. It's imperfect. It's brave. And if you're lucky enough to find someone who sees you clearly, who accepts your scars, who challenges you to grow instead of shrink, then you don't let that go because of outside commentary. I used to think protecting love meant hiding it, keeping it safe from criticism, keeping it quiet so it wouldn't be dissected. But love isn't fragile like that. If it's real, it doesn't break under opinions. It doesn't collapse because someone doesn't approve. It stands. She stands. And being with her made me stronger in ways I didn't expect. More honest, more grounded, less concerned with applause, less afraid of judgment. Because when you know what you feel, truly know it, the noise becomes background. I'm not naive. I understand that people will talk. I understand that not everyone will understand. But understanding isn't a requirement for something to be real. We don't need validation. We need truth. And the truth is that loving her feels natural. It feels steady. It feels intentional. There's a maturity in her that has nothing to do with years. There's a wisdom in her that doesn't need defending. And there's a peace in our connection that I refuse to trade for public approval. Love taught me that time is a gift, not a limitation. Every year she has lived shaped her into the woman I admire. Every lesson she learned built the strength I now lean on. Every experience carved the depth I find so captivating. Why would I reduce all of that to a number? If anything, her age is part of her story. And I don't want to erase her story. I want to honor it. Society measures love by appearances. I measure it by presence, by the way she shows up, by the way she listens, by the way she chooses me, not out of convenience, but intention. That's what matters. Not the timeline. Nay, not the whispers, not the expectations. What matters is that when I look at her, I don't see something controversial. I see something rare. And I've reached a point in my life where I'm not interested in rare things that fade because of fear. I'm interested in rare things that last because they're rooted in truth. .gsm. When I call her my dream woman, I don't mean she's perfect. I mean she's real. Dreams, for most people, are fantasies, flawless faces, ideal scenarios, stories that exist without struggle. But the kind of dream I'm talking about is different. It's the kind you don't even realize you've been hoping for until it's standing in front of you. She is my dream woman because she is grounded. She doesn't compete for attention. She doesn't need to be the loudest voice in the room. Her strength isn't aggressive. It's steady. The kind that doesn't shake when life gets difficult. The kind that doesn't disappear when things aren't glamorous. I've seen how she handles pressure. I've watched her face challenges without drama. There's a quiet resilience in her that most people overlook because it doesn't scream. It endures. That's rare. She understands that love isn't constant excitement. It's commitment. It's choosing each other on ordinary days. It's staying present when life feels repetitive. It's offering patience instead of pride during misunderstandings. She doesn't run from conversations that matter. She doesn't play games to feel powerful. She communicates clearly, honestly, even when the truth is uncomfortable. That honesty is one of the reasons she's my dream woman. With her, I don't have to guess. I don't have to decode silence or chase reassurance. What she feels, she expresses. What she wants, she respects. And what she values, she protects. There's something deeply attractive about a woman who protects her peace, who knows her boundaries, who refuses to settle for less than mutual respect. She inspires me, not with grand speeches, but with her consistency, the way she shows up, the way she stays loyal to her principles, the way she treats people who can offer her nothing. That tells you everything about someone. Her beauty isn't just physical. It's in the way she thinks, the way she reflects before reacting, the way she holds herself with dignity even when no one is watching. When I imagine my future, I don't picture perfection. I picture partnership, shared mornings, honest conversations, growth that doesn't feel forced, silence that feels safe. I picture her because she challenges me to be better without trying to control me. She supports my ambitions without losing her own. She stands beside me, not behind, not ahead, beside. That balance matters. Calling her my dream woman isn't about obsession. It's about recognition, recognizing that what we have isn't shallow. It isn't temporary. It isn't built on impulse. It's built on depth. She sees my flaws and doesn't weaponize them. She knows my past and doesn't judge it. She understands my silence and doesn't fear it. That kind of understanding is rare. And maybe that's why her age once left me speechless, because I realized that everything she has lived through shaped the woman standing in front of me. Every year added wisdom, every challenge added strength, every lesson added clarity. Why would I ever wish that away? She is my dream woman, not because she fits a fantasy, but because she fits reality, my future. With her, love doesn't feel chaotic. It feels intentional. It feels calm. It feels secure. It feels like something worth protecting. And in a world that constantly chases what looks impressive, I found something that feels meaningful. That's why she's my dream woman. Not because she stunned me, but because she stayed. And in staying, she became everything I didn't know I was waiting for. Love changes you in ways you don't announce to the world. It doesn't always arrive with a dramatic confession or a perfect cinematic moment. Sometimes it grows quietly, reshaping your thoughts, softening your edges, teaching you patience you didn't know you lacked. Loving her has done that to me. It has slowed me down. It has forced me to listen more carefully, not just to her, but to myself. Before her, I thought I understood what I wanted. I had a checklist in my mind, shaped by experience, by mistakes, by what I believed would make life easier. I told myself love should be practical, predictable, safe from complications. I convinced myself that if everything made sense on paper, then it would work in reality. But she wasn't something I calculated. She was something I felt. And that feeling didn't ask for logic first. It asked for honesty. Being with her has required courage. Not the loud, dramatic kind. The quiet kind. The kind where you wake up and choose someone again, even when the world might question you. The kind where you defend your connection not with arguments, but with consistency. She doesn't demand grand gestures. She values presence. She values truth. She values effort that isn't performative. That's what makes loving her different from anything I've experienced before. It's not about proving something to others. It's about proving something to ourselves. That what we have is real and worth protecting. There are moments when I catch myself simply watching her. Not an obsession, an appreciation. The way she focuses when she cares about something. The way she speaks with intention. The way she carries both strength and softness without apology. She has taught me that love isn't about possession. It's about two independent people choosing to walk side by side. Not because they need to, but because they want to. Her presence in my life has refined me, made me more patient, more reflective, less reactive. I've learned that true connection doesn't rush, it builds, brick by brick, conversation by conversation, trust by trust. We've had disagreements. We've had moments of misunderstanding. But even in those moments, there is respect. There is restraint. There is a shared understanding that we are not opponents. We are a team. That mindset changes everything. When love becomes a competition, it grows. She challenges me, not to control me, not to dominate me, but to expand me, to think deeper, to consider perspectives I hadn't considered before, to confront parts of myself I might have ignored. That's what real intimacy does. It exposes you gently. It invites growth without humiliation. It holds a mirror in front of you and says, "You can be better, and I will stand with you while you try." I've come to realize that loving her isn't just about emotion. It's about decision. Every day is a choice. To communicate instead of withdraw. To trust instead of doubt. To understand instead of assume. And she chooses to. That mutual choice is powerful. There is something sacred about knowing someone sees you fully. Your past, your flaws, your fears.